Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to another episode of Trudge Report. This is a recovery-based podcast, but don't worry, if you're not sober or not ready to be sober, we talk about plenty of other things, including sports, trending topics, and a good bit of nonsense. My name is Sean and I am your host. I'm joined by my good friends and fellow Trudgers, Bill, Corey, and Greg, also known as the Mother Trudgers. Going forward,
What?
keep in mind, going forward, we'll be
Who called
changing
me
our
that?
release date. For new episodes to come out every Thursday. So remember to listen on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Our videos will still come out on Fridays every week on Facebook and YouTube, so you can always watch us there. But please be sure to download on your listening platforms. And the new release date will be changing from Tuesdays to Thursdays starting this week, September 12th. We are brought to you by the wonderful Stella Mix Podcast Management and Miss Producer and Editor, Miss Janine Stella. Gentlemen, good evening. Week one is not quite in the books of NFL week one season, but we are well on our way. Talk some football tonight, talk some whatever else we got going on. We got some recovery stuff going on. Let's start with Corey. How are you tonight?
I'm good. Are we? This was a question for before recording, but are we is this like an around the horn or is this like a segment one?
Corey,
But
you
I
got
need to know what
60
the
you got 60 seconds to say whatever you need to say.
Oh shit. All right. I don't know. Let me think. I'm
I've only done 31 of these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm well. I kind of regret fantasy football at this point, but I don't know what I'm doing, and Greg's not helping me because he's in the league. But you gave me a couple pointers. I appreciate it, but I don't know. It was a good week one for me. I guess we'll get into it, but well,
We certainly will. What's up, Bill?
Having a good week. A lot of football today, so really good week so far for that because Notre Dame loses. That was great.
We'll touch on that. Wow.
Well, yeah, shout out to Mama McDonald over in Ireland. She shot me a message over there and put a little prayer on a tree for my grandma who was first generation Irelander here in the United States. However you would say that. Sean, you would probably know, but I don't.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's close enough. But shout out to her, man. That was a very heartfelt message. She sent me that, and I was actually in DeLuca's Diner, which is the restaurant my grandma started in Pittsburgh when I received that message, and I was able to share that with my family up there. So that was cool. So shout out to her.
Nice. I can report that Suzanne touched down at West Palm Beach International Airport a little earlier this evening, so she's home safe, or at least she's back stateside safe. So, what's up, Greg?
Appreciated.
What's going on? Yeah, busy, fun week. We had a concert-free week for the first time in quite some time. Just getting back and unwinding from vacation. Had an awesome vacation down in Hawking Hills last weekend. Did a lot of cool stuff, a lot of hiking, a lot of
Hawk Tua Hills.
Hawk Tua
Hills. Yeah, man, it's really nice down there. We actually passed some properties and stuff like that are for sale. So it's like maybe in the very, very early stages of thinking about what it would take to build something down there and maybe set up a little Airbnb down there. That we were talking to some people that own their own down in that area, and they told me like, hey, it's rented out literally 90% of the year, and it's become pretty profitable for them. So I don't know, it's just one of those kind of venture things that starting out preliminarily talking about, and we'll see. But
concert free week, except we're recording this on a Sunday because you're going to a concert tomorrow.
Yeah, this past week. Yeah, but I'm going to one tomorrow. We're going to
it's a short week,
see
but a week.
Young the Giant and Cage the Elephant. So
that's gonna be
I was
sick.
hoping you were gonna say Young Jeezy, but it's
Oh,
all good.
that
I
would
don't
be
even think
good too.
I don't even think he raps
That would
anymore,
not.
does he?
That would
Well,
not be.
Coming out of
just-
Or I
retirement.
mean that he
He's
doesn't.
just
Is he?
Jeezy now. He's
just
he's
Jeezy.
dropped
He's
the
not
young.
young
He's
anymore.
not young anymore.
Yeah.
So now he's just Jeezy.
Is he gonna be
Great.
old Jeezy? at a
Jeezy the
certain point?
Snowman, baby.
Great. Did he kill somebody in Atlanta too?
Yeah.
Oh, by the
Ooh,
way,
yeah,
rest in
probably.
peace.
R.I.P. Rich Homie Quan, who
Right.
Yeah.
Supposed to testify in that YSL trial, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We might have to
Yeah.
have an update on all that in a future upcoming episode. Just a quick little, maybe
And
5-minute update
he was
segment.
definitely already mentioned in the actual trial many times.
Well, he's like the
That's a whole different.
godfather of trap music. You know what I mean? He's kind of like one of the guys that started all that whole scene, right?
Well, him and Young Thug were teamed up, made some music together, and then there was some sort of beef and separation, and they were asking Woody, like Woody admitted on
Oh.
the stand that he shot up the dude's grandpap's store or something like that. So
Forgot about
there
Woody.
was,
But
Right.
isn't
yeah.
Young Thug like a protege of Jeezy though? Like Jeezy's a little older, if I'm not mistaken,
Oh,
right?
we're talking Rich Homie Quan right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Rich Homie
Okay.
Quan.
Yeah, Jeezy is like a foundational Atlanta
That's right,
rapper.
right,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
And
we'll have
Trapper.
and Trapper.
The never-ending
and
YSL
Trapper.
saga.
We'll have an update on that, I think, in the next coming weeks, something like that. But all good on my end, boys. Had a nice day today. Played a little golf with my dad, just him and I this morning at a very exclusive private course. Very nice, very quiet. I don't have the money to join one, but like if I did, I see why people join those because it's like, especially this time of year, there's no one out there except for a couple staff members. You can literally fly through a golf course in just a couple hours. You don't get backed up, and it's just everything's always pristine and perfect. It is very serene and peaceful. It's just me and dad. Good morning, and then we had some family stuff in Jupiter today, and got a couple younger cousins. Birthdays on the same day. One turned 17 and one turned 2. Shout out to Natalie and Lainey. So we were over there all night and having, swimming and eating and having a good time with family. All the little cousins, my girls included, were running around. Just time of their lives. So good day in the McDonald front.
Was
And
that a scheduled, like, just you and I are going out there, or is that
pretty
how
much
that works
we
with golf?
well, pretty much we had shout out to my buddy John, who's a member at another private course. And during the summer months, the way it works is you get like reciprocals at other private courses
Okay.
when it's not season because they just want people to play and to keep business drumming. So he had invited us out to this specific private course like a month and a half ago, and we got rained out before it even started. It just was bad weather, so we got like a rain check. So we couldn't get everybody together because there was 4 of us. Nobody had the same schedule. So my buddy John was just like, "Hey, you and your dad just go use it, have fun, just enjoy it with him." So I called up there, and yeah, we just got one for the 2 of us, and
Sweet.
yeah, it was a nice day, just hanging out with him. Always good. One of those things that for many, many years, I wanted nothing to do with my dad and, didn't want anything to be around him or talk to him. And now I'd, uh, I'd give anything to play as much golf as I can with him and spend as much time as I can with him. So good stuff. All right. So we're kind of just going to kick it. We're going to talk a little NFL, of course. I want to touch on a little college football and maybe even a little bit of baseball, but I don't want to bog it down too much with that. But we're just going to let this thing fly for the next 20, 25 minutes till we get into the recovery segment. But I don't know. You guys want to start? What do you guys want to start with? Anybody got anything on their mind? Even if it's not football, it doesn't have to be football. Got anything they're chomping on or they wanted to touch on real quick?
I don't probably, Sean. I don't know.
Anybody else? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I
I'm
feel
just
like
kidding.
when you guys talk, you guys have all this fun stuff you did this week. And I'm thinking, like, what the hell did I do this week? What did I do? I think I just worked. I think I worked a lot.
Well, hey,
I'm in
listen,
school.
we
I don't
can,
know.
you are in
I
school.
think
Hey,
you were
that's
writing notes for the
important.
podcast all week. Isn't that what you're doing?
Could be
Yeah,
writing notes
I
for the
wish,
podcast.
dude. I also
Or
have
having coronary on football because you're now a fan and like there's so much stuff going on.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Can we talk about my freak out I had on Thursday?
On
Sure.
Can we talk
Thursday
about
or
that?
Friday?
Yeah, on
Or
literally
Friday, sorry,
any
Friday.
day of the week. Yeah.
No, for this
Go ahead,
was
Corey.
this was Friday Night Football, and I just want to rehash this stuff with you guys a little bit as far as the Eagles game goes. Let's start with this, and I know it wasn't his fault, but let's start with this. What did I say last week? I said that who was I excited to see? Saquon Barkley, because I never even knew his name before he came to the Eagles, and then I was like, oh, there's all this hype around him. This is going to be great, awesome. And what happens? So, what? Packers had the ball first. Eagles get the ball. I'm ready for the first Eagle snap of the year. Saquon gets the ball and falls flat on his face. And I said, fucking season's over. Season's over. But obviously, like, I guess the turf is all slippery and stuff. They both had problems with that for a little while. And then eventually figured it out. But that was my first impression of Saquon Barkley as an Eagle. And it like me who doesn't know anything really, and I'm trying to learn, and I'm like looking at this, I jumped off of my bed, essentially, and
I'd
yelled
like to see that. I'd
a
like to
cuss
get
word.
to see if that was actually considered a jump or
It-
what Gabby
it
would
was-
classify that as.
It was about an
I
inch.
just have a hard, I
It
just
was
have a
hot.
hard time,
It was, I think it was more of a roll, maybe
like,
a
were you lying down
Oh.
and jump, or did you jump out of
I
a
was
lying down position? Because that
No,
would be impressive. You were sitting
no,
on the bed.
no, I was in
pulled
like
a
I was
Shawn
in a slight
Michaels?
recline.
Ooh, a kip up.
Slight recline.
Dude, that I'll do a kip up right now in front of you guys right now.
I wish you would.
So anyway, obviously, Saquon goes on to have 3 touchdowns that game, and that was
Yeah, not
really
a great
cool.
game, really, right? I don't think, by all
Real
standards.
mid.
Don't do
So that's
this.
the best you're ever
You
gonna
can't get overexcited, Corey. You got to learn this. You can't get overexcited.
Well,
A win's
let
a
me-
win. First game of the season.
That's fine. Let me
Right.
just bitch for a minute, though. I know he pulled it together, but like I got worried, as you guys know, because I was texting you. I got worried about Jalen Hurts there because that first quarter, I'm like, oh my god, nothing's changed. This is the last half of last year all over again. He throws 2 interceptions. I don't know, And the thing is, like, I realized this. I just watched the Chiefs the night before, and even though that was a close game, it just seems like, dude, like, it just seems like Pat Mahomes has all this protection, and like he just gets it done every freaking play. It seems like, and then I'm watching the Eagles,
Kind of does.
and even when Jalen has a ton of time because he did a lot, it just seemed like he couldn't make a play. I don't know what's going on,
Well,
and
but
I've never
that's
played
your-
football, so I don't know.
That's not so much Jalen. Like Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback, right? And it pains me to say that because I hate when people lump guys into the elite conversation a little too early or whatever. But I think Jalen Hurts has everything in him to be an elite quarterback. Your guys' offensive line needs work, and you can't. Like Bill made a good point the other day, and the center position is such an overlooked position by a lot of people.
Yeah.
But that is so crucial. The relationship that those two guys have. I mean, hey, you got to have a decent relationship with a guy for his hand to be up in your nuts, for 60 minutes a week minimum, right? So,
yeah.
I
like,
mean,
like
debatable.
you got to have a decent relationship with the guy there.
Put that on
But
a
like that,
t-shirt.
but for real, that's an important isn't even the word. That is a crucial position, and you guys just lost a Hall of Fame center to retirement. So,
Well, let me
Right.
say something too there that they spoke about it before the game. I'm sure you heard it, Corey, that Kelsey used to make the calls at the line. So like
Right.
when they step up to the line, there's a lot of shit going on, like reads and all this stuff. So now it's on Hurts because you got
Right.
that young guy Juergens as a center. So
Right.
now he is literally in creative control of the entire offense, and that's a whole different mindset.
And to go even further with that, you take a team like the Eagles. They got a new offensive and defensive line
Right.
coach
Yeah.
or a coordinator. So
Coordinator,
that's like a whole new kind of style and system. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of carryover, but not only do you have a new offensive line and a new center, but you have all those coordinators that are new with the new style. And take someone like the Chiefs, all they've done is get better from what they had last year, and they still have the same coaching staff. So like they're all used to it. They know exactly what's going on. Even like the Ravens in that Chiefs game. Yeah, they got Derrick Henry, and he obviously did, he didn't have a great game, but he had a touchdown. He was impactful. It allowed Lamar to run around like crazy, but they have a new defensive coordinator as well. You know what I mean? So it's just
and lost a lot of pieces.
right, exactly. So it's
And one more thing,
week one.
you're comparing them to the generational quarterback and a generational coach. I mean, Andy Reid is the best coach in
he's
the NFL
phenomenal,
right
yeah,
now,
right.
and he
Yeah,
schemes the way he
easily.
schemes stuff up. Oh, he's the
He's the best coach in the NFL, working with the best quarterback in the NFL,
Right.
and I
And-
can't
and-
stand any of them. But it's
I
We've
like
seen that
Reed.
before.
you cannot stand him, but you have to, you
Oh,
got to
for
call
sure.
it how it is.
That's what I said.
Like I don't even think it's close, really. Like, I really don't think that there is a better quarterback coach duo out there, and I don't think that there's a better quarterback in the league.
100%.
Not even close.
Yeah.
I'd agree.
Yep.
So
Well, I appreciate it, guys, because I
It's a
needed
good-
some consoling.
there's definitely some
You
pieces
won,
you guys
dude.
got to
What do
get,
you-
but
what do
yeah,
you
but,
need to
but
get?
yeah,
That's
well,
what I'm saying.
And Green
you
Bay
guys
is a
calm the-
good team, dude.
very good team.
Listen,
And you guys looked pretty good overall. Obviously,
yeah,
there's some stuff to
it
clean
got
up,
better. It got better, and if there's anything I want from them, it's to progressively get better all throughout the season, and that's all good.
We'll put
And
that in their
I'm
suggestions
Good,
box. I'm
good
sure they-
teams get
know
progressively
what?
better as the season goes on.
Right,
Don't
that's-
forget that.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But
Well,
let,
also, let's not
let me
forget, like, certain
go
guys didn't even blow up. Like AJ Brown didn't. AJ Brown
Right.
didn't have a huge game. That dude.
No.
That dude.
he had the deep
uh,
touchdown.
He had a deep touchdown, but like other than that, like
That's really it.
I can see that
It
guy
was a
going
one-off,
off for 180 yards and 3 TDs in a big game. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I mean,
Yeah.
we've seen
Devontae
that.
Smith was clutch.
You're
Yeah.
doing
Clutch.
just fine. Put it that way.
You
And
have
shout
a
out-
1A and a 1B receiving group.
Absolutely, and Jahan Dotson. So
Yeah.
also the tight end. You got the whole
Goddard.
team.
Yeah.
The other part of this is, before the game I felt terrible because they showed Jordan Love getting engaged, his engagement video and all this stuff, and then I thought he tore his ACL.
It's
Thank God he
just a
didn't.
sprained ACL, right?
And
I think
I
MCL
saw
and
it.
a sprain. Yeah,
Which
4
is
to
much
6
better than a
weeks.
tear, obviously.
Yeah, because he's going to be good this year. I'm excited to see him play. I would hate to see the Packers season go down
Yeah.
the tubes like that on that bad
Yeah.
field. So,
Yeah.
that would have been
Oh.
tragic. So we missed the
Dude.
tragedy there.
Can we
Let-
can we mention that too? Like that's my
Yes.
bone to pick for the week, right?
Yes.
Here's the thing, dude, and I'm all about. I understand the NFL is trying to, expand its.
Hold
brand
on.
globally.
Explain why it is. Let's not just pick because I don't think a lot of people really understand. It's grass is grass, right? The answer is no. So
No,
explain
it's
why
not.
that is.
So that is,
Right.
I mean, all right. So I'll say I'll get into that in a second. But the NFL is trying to expand its brand globally. We've talked about it a little bit here and there. They played in Germany, in London. Where else did they play over there, Bill? Somewhere else in Europe too.
They
know
played in
Germany-
Mexico City,
Mexico City.
which is not Europe for those who are not geographically.
Correct. I thought they played somewhere else in Europe last year, though. I thought it was-
Probably.
it was
I don't-
like-
Oh, London.
Well, you said
Did
that.
you say London? Oh, all right. I don't know.
I know it was the
They played in
Jags.
Germany. They played in Germany and
That-
Mexico.
said
yeah,
that too.
yeah. Okay. All right. So never mind. Anyways, the NFL is actively trying to expand its brand. But I mean, this is getting a little ridiculous. Number one, Brazil is a third world country, and albeit probably there are beautiful places there.
Yeah.
But like you saw videos of these guys beforehand where they're like, "Hey, this is my hotel room. I haven't been able to leave it for 4 days because we're under like armed guard. Because they're worried about the crime, being kidnapped, all that kind of stuff. They had to from what I understand, they had to get like a freighter ship to bring all of the team's stuff down there.
I'd call them a second
cargo-
world country, like not a third world. You know what I mean?
I
Like
don't
you
know,
said,
man.
there's nice parts. But anyway, go
Well,
ahead.
same thing with Mexico. Mexico's
Yeah.
got nice parts, but it's still, I mean, it's
But
run
there's
by
gangs
cartels.
that will like literally run up on you
Right.
anywhere. So, yeah.
Exactly.
So
But
let's
anyway.
finish y'all's
also-
thoughts, and I have a comment on that because I have a friend that just went to Brazil very, very recently. So go ahead.
And then, as far as the field is concerned, that's a soccer field, right? So a soccer field
Yep.
is set up very, very differently than a turf football field. It is not made. It is a little bit softer. It's made for guys to kind of glide across it. Not saying that there's anything supernatural going on. It's just
Not
but
as much cutting
is-
and jerking. yeah.
Exactly. It's made for guys to move.
Not as much
quickly.
jerking, Corey.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me like that.
But whereas a football field is more designed, certainly the turf fields that present their own issues here for sure, but they're made to when cleats go into them, they grab and guys can plant on them and be able to take hits on them and things like that. So that's all you saw in that field. So not only was it dangerous outside the stadium, but it's dangerous inside the stadium. We saw a handful of almost injuries,
Yeah.
some very minor, and then obviously the Jordan Love thing. So I mean,
It's
that's
bullshit.
huge for a
You-
team.
You take
Um,
away a Philly home game for that.
Well, nobody
just
gives
for
a
the
shit. I mean,
Yes, no, everybody gives a shit.
I've been to Philly, and it's essentially a third world country. We'll
Yeah,
fucking
really.
clear that argument
I was getting
right
I was
out the
getting there
window
too.
right
They were
now.
probably
But
happy to get out of Philly for
You
a
guys-
I
team.
will say this.
You guys can thank Philadelphia.
You know, and this, and
for our
I,
great
without
nation.
trying to sound too much like a nationalist or anything like that, but it's like, here's the deal, man. I'm all about expanding the brand and stuff like that, but really, if you want to come see a football game, come see a football game. We got 16 of them going on every week across the country.
We're letting everybody into the border, so that doesn't
And,
matter.
hey, there you go.
Sorry.
That's a whole nother discussion, right? But
Sean.
yeah,
That's
come
for
see
the
a
other
football game.
podcast, Sean.
From what I hear.
And I can
I'm
understand even things like I may maybe not having maybe having the Pro Bowl events or something like that, in another country, but
That's a good idea.
yeah, I just think especially because another buddy of ours in Bill and I's fantasy league brought up, like, what's next? Like, are we gonna have them play in the desert in Iraq,
I
or
wouldn't
something
be
like
shocked.
that? That's
Wouldn't
what
be
I'm
shocked.
saying is like, where does it end? Are we gonna be playing in Shanghai or Moscow or something
Ooh,
like that? Like,
Moscow.
that's what I'm
next.
saying. Where does it end? Because
North
I don't know,
Korea.
it's just
Oh, North Korea, big ass nuke in the background. Shit was
Well,
awesome.
here, can I just to be the devil's advocate real quick? It's the first week of the year, and I would venture to guess that game stimulates a lot of money because
Sure.
you're bringing a whole hemisphere action. It's a lot of exposure. They don't want Jordan Love to get hurt, but he's not bigger than their like Goodell talked about it in the interview. They see worldwide vision on it.
They were
Could
panning
that
to him with
fail?
the ambassador in the stands, like thick as
Right.
Yeah,
thieves.
great.
So my point is he's trying to expand the brand. That is kind of his job. I hate it. I hate it for scheduling. I like Friday night football once in a while.
That
But
was kind of cool.
maybe Sean can answer this. This was my thing. I looked it up. Soccer cleats are typically shorter.
Mhm.
So were the guys wearing too short of cleats because they were slipping everywhere? It seemed like there was adjustments at halftime to cleat length. I think maybe they put football turf in there because people just seem confused on what to wear. Was it because they were longer or shorter? Does anyone know? They never really
I don't know.
said in the broadcast.
Soccer cleats are a little shorter and stubbier.
Mhm.
And that's where I was gonna go, Bill, and you kind of mentioned it when I saw you yesterday. Like, guys, with all the technology we have in the world today, you telling me we don't have a cleat that can, like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, come on. So I know, and not only that, you've been there for a few days, you've practiced.
Right.
Let's figure this thing out. But to Greg's
No one
point,
ran out on the field
but
for
but
like
here's
the 3
but here's the thing. To Greg's point,
Well, probably
like,
because they got shot.
I don't think I don't think the slippage was any worse than it is in certain American stadiums. It happens all the time. It happens all the time.
I get
I'm
it.
not saying Brazil wasn't a great choice. However, they were talking about it on air that Brazil has the third largest interest of any country. It's our country, and then it's like England, and then Brazil. So I
per
see why they
capita.
took. I see why
Yeah.
they took it there. I could take it or leave it. I really don't. I really don't. If Aaron Rodgers got hurt in New York on a first snap, you know what I mean? Like, it's sometimes
And that field is notorious for
just
injuries.
right. It just is the way it goes sometimes. Maybe there was a few extras, but the broadcast, everything likes to make a big deal about it, and it's not a good thing, right? We don't want anybody getting injured, but that's just honestly part of it, and it's
Yeah.
gonna happen. So I had a friend that went to Brazil in July of this year, and he said that his Airbnb was like in a compound where they had like facial rec and thumbprint to get in. And it was a pretty big compound, but you couldn't go out of the compound. There were instructions, don't go out during these times of day, or like certain things. They had to dress like very inconspicuously, and just wild stuff. And it was like, my friend was like, I don't even like, I have no idea like why we even decided to go. And he got there at like 1 in the morning Brazil time and had to get an Uber. He said, thank God they have Uber, because everyone says don't trust like the regular taxis for obvious reasons. So
Right.
I definitely, I'm sure it's got its ritz and its glamour, but he said that the crack and cocaine problem there, and is like 10 times worse than some of the stuff we see in our American cities, just the people on the streets and stuff like that. And so I don't know why. I guess I wouldn't be shocked if they don't go back to Brazil. I really wouldn't be shocked, even though third largest per capita. I wouldn't be shocked.
And to think like, and it's probably not crazy expensive, but and not to change the topic too much here, but like I like to travel. I'm a vacation kind of guy. I like to go different places. I can't imagine like what it costs to get down there, and
It's
Actually,
dirt
he
cheap,
said-
dude.
he said
you
it was
can fly to
actually
Brazil from
cheap.
where I'm at for like $150.
Yeah,
That's
Really?
why you go.
the
My
money
buddy
part was
goes.
not that bad. He said.
My buddy goes to Colombia like every other month. His
I
girlfriend
heard,
actually
I heard
lives.
Oh, yeah.
Medellin's cool, dude.
His girlfriend lives there, and
His
but I
girlfriend,
mean, he's mingling, dude. He's out,
Christina Aguilera.
and he's just like, I talked to him about it. He's like, you just got to go to this certain city at this time or this or that. So if you knew the ropes and you're
Sure.
in the right area, you know what I mean. You'd
Yeah.
make a wrong turn though. I've watched the videos of those guys that like walk through Brazil or something.
Yeah.
If you make a wrong turn, you're in trouble, dude. They're gonna
He did.
snuff
He
you
did
out.
say my friend went. He's white, and I only say that because he said he was shocked at how many other white people there are. Like especially in like Sao Paulo and the bigger cities. Like it's
Right.
really a very large. There's the white Portuguese. There's a very. So he said it wasn't actually that hard to like blend in and but and stuff like that. But I don't know. Interesting. So all right, who else? Who does anybody else want to touch on their own personal games of the week? I know mine stunk. We stunk. I mean, it wasn't great by any means. We didn't get like blown out, but the Steelers did win. I saw that.
No, not only that,
eked it
Sean.
out,
Let me
dude.
take
They
this,
eked it
boys.
out.
blew them
Hold
out.
on.
Go ahead.
They didn't
Bill.
win. They're in first place in their division, Greg.
Ah, wow.
All right,
man.
let's not bury the lead
Yeah,
here. All
that is
right,
true. That is
1-0, baby,
That
against
is true.
Atlanta Falcons, who everybody on
Supposed
this
to be a good team.
podcast
Yep,
said that
yep.
was going
Hand
to
up.
be a good team. And
Hand
I
up.
will say this: I think next week they're going to come out and surprise some teams because our defense was not
very good.
messing around out there today, and our defense looks good, man. We got Dante Jackson out on the corner. We've got Queen up the middle. Hayward's back in a full go up the middle. I mean, our defense looks pretty dang good. So I was impressed. Justin Fields played for us, not Russ Wilson. I thought he played a great game. Didn't turn the ball. Three fumbled snaps. He's got to change that. He's got to do some center
He's a
reps.
little nervous.
Corey.
He's a little nervous. It's
He's
all
a
right.
little nervous.
He fumbled the very first snap.
That's
The
right.
very
Yeah.
first snap he took.
And
That's
and
all right
just
though.
like-
He,
Go
dude,
ahead.
he can run. And
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Tomlin
athlete.
compared him. They said, "Who is he like in open field?" He said Derrick Henry,
Wow.
and he's being dead serious. I mean, he's a big boy, Greg.
He
He's
is.
fast, and
Yeah,
he's
is.
muscle. He's no
Listen.
Derrick Henry, but well, you know what I mean.
No.
But as a quarterback, he's imposing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
He is. And-
I thought we played a great game.
And shout out to you guys, Bill. You did. And all I'll say, same thing we said to Corey. First game of the season. First game of the season, dude. That's
Oh,
that's
whoa,
the
whoa.
but defense did look great. I give you that. Toughness is never gonna be Pittsburgh's problem. Tomlin's gonna coach them boys up. They're never gonna be worse than 500. And that's not a diss. I'm not saying that
No,
they're
that's
only gonna
fine.
be 500, but they're gonna be tough and they're gonna sharpen the edges where they can. But
I
yeah,
thought the offense
let's see
looked
some
good
other
though.
stuff.
I thought the offense looked good. I was really worried. Another thing.
how many points? 16 points though?
Nah, that's
15.
all right. I think they're all field goals. Got to get in the end zone, boys.
Yeah, there were no.
Gotta get in the
no
end zone.
touchdowns.
You
I
got
will
some
say
kickers
this.
from Brazil.
I will say this,
That's-
Bill.
What's his name?
Well,
He had
'cause
the
we've
punt
all-
once too.
We've all hated on Najee, but Najee looked good.
Dude,
Najee
I
looked
know, I always-
fired up and ready to go. Like I watched.
I'm
the
the king
game.
of
It
hating
was-
on him, and he
Yeah,
looked.
no. he did look good.
He was like full of piss and vinegar today,
we
dude.
declined his 5th-year option, dude. I think he got like
He's
like,
chippy,
fuck,
dude.
what-
He's chippy.
He's doing roids in the
Um,
off season. He wasn't
I mean,
playing.
Pickens looked good. It's just Fields couldn't get him the ball enough. I think your offense changes a little bit when you got Russell Wilson under center. I think he's a little bit calmer in the pocket, and I think he can make those educated throws downfield. So, I mean, you guys look good. Yeah, your defense looks much better than it did last year. We're going off of one game, but they
Right.
look good.
No interceptions for Fields, I think, is important too. I mean, he did have the
Yeah.
fumble, but no interceptions, which
And
I
not
think-
any that
I think
really
that's
should have
important.
been either.
I
You
think
know what I
that's
mean?
important.
Another thing, Tom Brady made his debut today. The GOAT in the box. Calling
How
the
did he do?
game.
I didn't hear anything. How did
It
he
was
do?
a mixed bag.
He's kind of dorky.
He's no Tony Romo. He's no
Tony's
Tony
good.
Romo.
Tony's solid, dude.
Tony's good.
solid.
Greg, you don't like Tony?
Tony's
I
solid.
I don't like Tony Romo. Period. But like
Tony's also a +3 handicap golfer. Very, very, very
Fantastic
good
golfer.
I got my debut of did Brady call the Steelers game as well,
No,
or just the Browns game?
he
Right.
called the Browns game. Yeah.
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 So that was his debut.
America's game of the week.
It was the only thing I took solace in was that Tom Brady's soothing goat voice was on on the mic. Because other than that, I probably would. You would have seen me week 1 breaking my TV on YouTube somewhere.
What'd you think of the team, Greg?
That was rough, dude.
So here's the thing. The first thing I'll say is hats off to the Dallas Cowboys defense. I don't like giving them any props, but their defense came to play. Micah Parsons running around like a man possessed out there. Diggs looked great. They looked ready to go. Our defense did not look terrible. We look, kind of like the same squad we looked at like last year, but I don't know, man. I'm so disappointed in our offense right now. We had one good drive the entire game. We're paying Deshaun Watson a king's ransom right now, and it's just, I try to be supportive. I try to be like, well, maybe he'll come back from injury, maybe he'll come back from all this and snap back, and who knows? It was way too early to really tell, but he does not look comfortable out there. They surrounded him with more talent, and we saw a couple guys get hurt today. It doesn't look good. So I don't know. I know that I could hear from my television Cleveland fans in Cleveland shouting "Let's go Cowboys!" So that's and booing our own team. So that
which is disgraceful. That's disgraceful.
This is why you'll never win a Super Bowl.
First game, yeah, that's
despicable, dude.
You guys talk so much shit on Philadelphia.
Because you guys deserve it.
Well, you guys
suck
suck too. But
oh my God,
we're the
most
most
passionate, supportive fans.
Cleveland's not super far behind that. The fans,
oh
anyway.
My God,
yeah.
Deshaun Watson died on that massage table. I mean, that's the truth.
But this is how a real fan does it, dude. You put on your colors even when you lose. That's what you do, and we're gonna hope for better things. There were some good takeaways from the game. When Jerome Ford got going, he looked okay. David Njoku before he got hurt, which I hope that's just a little, he rolled his ankle and jammed it up, but he looked good. Jerry Jeudy, welcome to Cleveland, got your first touchdown grab. So there were some good things in there, but overall, man, I don't know. It was rough. Hats off to the Cowgirls.
I had a bet on him.
Who
was it?
Yeah. So let's just real quick recap. So right now we got the Lions and the Rams playing. I think Detroit's up 10-3. Was
10-3. Stafford just threw a pick in the back of the end zone while they're about to punch it in.
Yeah. So I think that's gonna be a good game. Tomorrow night we have the Jets and the 49ers, which is supposed to be a really good game. I'm gonna go right now that 49ers win that game easily.
Beat the crap out of them.
Possibly even a blowout. I'm just saying. I know the Jets are supposed to be good. We'll call me out on it. I'll full mea culpa if that's not it. So we won't be obviously giving any analysis of those games yet. This episode will come out on Thursday. So guys, real quick, give me something about week 2 that we want to just quick preview, games that we're looking forward to. The Thursday night game, Miami Buffalo, looks really good. Could be a good matchup. Buffalo looked good today, guys. Buffalo looked good today.
So did Arizona.
So did Arizona.
Good.
They jumped out. They that's going to be a good game, I think.
Yeah.
I'm looking
I'm
looking at the slate right now. Cleveland, Jacksonville next week, Greg. That could be a good game. The Miami Jacksonville game wasn't a pretty game, but it was a close game today, and I thought both sides showed some fight. Minnesota disposed of the Giants today so easily, dude. Darnold looked all right, dude. I mean,
that Darnold did look all right.
But when you have the best receiver in the league, and then a really good B receiver,
but you know what?
And Justin Jefferson. What else is his name?
Well, Justin Jefferson wasn't cooking that much early on.
Yeah.
It took him a little while to get going. So I mean, Yeah, Darnold
But
was
let's
all
give
right,
a
man.
shout out to Sam Darnold, who
Yeah,
looked
absolutely.
I just said that. I said that. He
Looked
looked
like a
really
real
good.
Let's give a shout
Jaden
out to,
Daniels.
as much
They
as I
also,
hate to
yeah,
say,
he looked all right. It wasn't
Baker
great.
Mayfield. Baker Mayfield looked.
Ba-
He what did he
Baker.
have, like 22 completions, 3 incompletions the whole game or something like that?
Yeah.
It's something
Wow.
crazy, dude. He
He
looked
led the
really
fantasy
good.
scoring for QBs.
Oh,
J.K. Dobbins resurrecting his career, had a monster game.
I also think a big shout out. Chicago was down like
Yeah.
17-0,
Their
and
defense. Shout
they
out
came
Chicago's
roaring
defense.
back. Well, yeah, but Williams did all right. He did
All right.
did okay. You know, I mean,
He looked
No?
terrible.
I don't know.
I think the Lions Buccaneers next week will be a good game.
Yeah.
Kind of see what those teams are made of.
Cincinnati
then-
looked terrible today.
I was gonna
Ooh,
say Bengals
yes.
Chiefs because they could go 0-2.
I had
now.
Joe Burrow too.
Kansas
They
City
Fantasy
are
sucks.
They are
could
going
blow them out.
Took my notes, Corey. I would have told you not
They
to do
could
that.
blow them out big time.
Here's the thing about, because I did watch that game. I was flipping back and forth, and I was watching that game as well. Joe Burrow is missing Tyler Boyd right now. I know that he wasn't
Big
like this
time, dude.
crazy impactful.
No, but he was
player.
a safety blanket.
Yeah, and like and he's missing Joe Mixon. Like he is missing Joe Mixon. Like that Zach Moss isn't even close.
Yeah,
you
Zach
know?
Moss played pretty good. He's no Mixon though, but yeah.
He's no Mixon. You know what I'm saying? I think
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, like Chase is not enough to get it done. Did you see, like, I don't know if you guys saw, but who was that? Trenton Irwin dropped a pass as he was going into the end zone. Like he had the ball, he had it, he was running with
Yeah.
it, and then dude comes and just hooks his arm and he just in the
They'll
air,
bounce
like,
back. I'm gonna say it here. They beat the Chiefs next week.
Ooh, I'd love that. That's
Wow.
spicy.
in
I'm gonna say it.
Arrowhead, Bill.
In Arrowhead.
No,
Not
it's
happening.
Close
Is
game,
that-
they pull it out.
Is that spicier than my 49ers blow out the Jets take?
That ain't happening.
That-
The 49ers. Wait, your 49ers. How many teams do you have?
I didn't say my.
Oh, I thought you said
49ers.
my
I didn't say
49ers. You
don't-
said
Yeah,
the
don't
49ers.
fucking claim
Oh,
another
okay.
team.
I was like, what?
twisted. Hey,
Sorry,
hey,
I misheard
claim,
you.
I claim two.
Okay, so that's
By the way,
not gonna
that-
happen. I don't think.
that
But we'll see.
talk on America's Worst Cities is coming up. I'm doing research for this one. It's cooking. We're gonna.
There's a lot
we're gonna,
of cities that apply.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna clear the air about Philadelphia, and we're gonna
Okay,
clear the
well,
air
we
about
have to-
Baltimore.
we can decide metrics though, because a worst city is very subjective.
Yeah,
so,
no,
we need.
I'll bring it to the
metrics for
table. Yes, correct. That's
If
correct.
we're going the most poop on the sidewalk, it's got to be San Francisco.
We'll
That is
take it
San
in the,
Francisco.
the situation room.
But
All
Eagles and who the hell are they playing? Falcons.
You got the Monday night game next week, Corey.
Yeah.
Eagles play the Falcons Monday night.
That could be a
in
good game.
Philly.
I still like Atlanta. I lost today, but I still
Me
like
too.
Atlanta. I do.
Not
That
against
could
the
be a
Eagles.
good game.
Eagles will win, but it'll be close.
Yeah.
Could be.
I'll
Could
be throwing a fit the whole time.
I hope the Falcons win. Just to be honest.
Thanks.
Sorry.
My week will
So-
suck after that, dude. Football is infuriating.
Corey, you
me. I
can't.
don't-
You can't let that. Can't.
No,
let it
I'm
ruin your
going
week,
to.
but
It's going to
can't
dictate
do
my
it.
spiritual condition. It's going to dictate how many people I can help. It's going to dictate how much I'm praying. Everything relies on that
I
game.
had
You're
to-
such a
I had to-
Pittsburgher.
Tell my girlfriend out loud today that I will not allow the Cleveland Browns to affect my happiness. I had to
Well-
say it out loud so that I could make it real.
Stay
So
accountable
I
to
get it.
somebody.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It is hard though watching
Oh,
your team.
God, yeah. I wanted to put my
do that.
fist through the television set, dude.
That was bad.
It was, yeah, it's terrible.
I had money on your team, dude. Not a lot, but I had
Yeah,
a little
well,
money on it.
bad move, bro. That's a
Bad
rookie.
move. Yeah. Well,
I could have
I-
told you that. Don't do
I'll
that.
take every chance to bet against the Cowboys and Prescott. I hate them, and not that my bet will do anything to defeat them, but I feel like if it does, I can say it that it's because of me. But it didn't happen.
All right. Well, let's pivot. Let's
No.
pivot to our recovery segment, and this could be a little bit of a heavy one, guys. So I appreciate everybody being willing to want to do this, and I know it means we all have some different experience with this, but we want to talk about tonight how we deal in recovery, but just also as human beings in recovery, how we deal with death and loss. It's no secret that a lot of people die from this disease. Some of us, it hits a little closer to home. I'll kick it off as normal. So I I can remember being like 8 years old and like asking my mom the question of like why people died and what happens and all that stuff. And she was very good Catholic woman. My mom is, when they die, they go to heaven with Jesus, and um, that's they become angels and all that. There's no more suffering, and heaven is the happiest place on earth for them, and all that. And whatever your religious convictions are aside, she would say like, "Oh, God just needed another angel, Sean." Like that was their time to go home and to be with God, and that's how it was meant to be. And that was totally sufficient for me at 8 years old. And honestly, it kind of still is today. Um, I guess the best way I can do it is like share just a quick experience, like and I'll keep names out of it because I'm not trying to like name drop, and anything like that. But one of my closest friends, and we all knew him. He died a few years ago from an overdose, and after struggling with after being sober for a long time, and then relapsing and never really being able to make it back, and a handful of poor decisions. And I can remember that um, I was actually at a recovery group getting ready to facilitate a group one night, and a friend of mine called me. And at the same time as I looked at the phone that he was calling me, my wife had texted me. You know how the phone, like you can see the drop down on the phone. So I already kind of knew, like I could see it. And it was, and he died of essentially an overdose. And it was, I've had like a couple family members die, my grandma and stuff like that. And my aunt passed away a couple years ago. But they were older and they had health problems, and for whatever reason in our society today, like that's way more, it's easier to more palpable when they're older and they've lived a life and they have health problems, and we say whatever we say, it's mercy, and now they're not in any pain anymore. And but the same goes for my friend who was struggling with addiction. And um that one was hard. That one was, it's weird because I still sometimes not forget that he's passed away, but, like, when I drive past his old neighborhood, I haven't really done this in a while, actually, but I did for the first few years. Like, I'd like, "Oh, I wonder what so and so's up to," and I'd be like, "Oh," like, it's quick thought, and then I'd be like, "Oh, crap, like, he's dead," you know what I mean? And it was almost like he was traveling and he had moved away, and it's kinda like, "Hey, yeah, we'll keep in touch, don't worry, we'll get together even though you're moving away," knowing that you kinda really won't not because 'cause we're so busy and life goes on. And that was how it was for the first few years. And I don't really have that anymore with him. Um, but he was the best man at my wedding, and he was a very big part of my life, and helped a lot of people, and certainly had his own demons and stuff. And I guess it's just kind of he sobriety really is a gift, boys. I mean, we all know that. I don't have to tell any of you that, but like it truly is a gift. And when you have some time and you've had some awakening and you reverse that and you start getting sick again and the insanity returns, it's hard for some people to make it back. I have a good friend right now who just threw 9 years of sobriety away, and not only sobriety, but, like, a multitude of other crap is coming down the road at him. His life is in complete shambles, and he doesn't know which way to turn, which way to go, and there's so much going on, it's hard to even accept the help. And I'm afraid for him, that he's gonna take it to the final destination, so to speak. So I don't know. I say all that, and then on the family side of it, I had a cousin that died last December. She was only a year older than me. She was married to a gentleman who I used to drink with, and I went to high school with and played baseball with, and they were together since they were like 15 years old. They have 3 kids together. They had just had their third kid. The kid wasn't even a full year old. She got diagnosed with stage 4. I forget exactly which type of cancer last July, and it was stage 4 already, and she died last December. Like it was
Hmm.
very, very difficult for the family. My dad, who is not an emotional guy, like, I remember him calling me up and crying about it, and I cried and, stuff like that. Um, so how do we deal with it? I think everybody's gonna deal with it. We're gonna probably hear 4 different versions of it. I know for me, I spend a lot of time, in quiet contemplation, and I will talk to that person. My cousin specifically, the night before she passed, I was gonna wait till the next day to go see her, and something inside of me said, "No, go tonight." It was on a Wednesday. I went. It was like 8 o'clock by the time I got down there. It was down south. Visiting hours were kinda over, but they let me in. Everybody else had been gone for a while, so it was just me. and I could just sit with my cousin in the room. A couple nurses were in and out doing their thing, and I remember one of the nurses said, like, wow, she must have been, and she was a school teacher, just like an awesome, awesome woman, nice as can be. And she said, you know, we haven't seen that many people here for any one specific person in a very, very long time. Like the amount of visitors that flocked in that day. And I just thought that was a testament and a beautiful testament to her. And she was unconscious. She couldn't hear me. She had that. It's a very, for lack of a better word, frightening look when someone is that out of it, you know. And I just sat with her and I cried for a little bit and I talked with her. And to me, the crying is therapeutic. It feels good, right? I enjoy not enjoy it, but you know what I mean? Like, it feels good to cry and feel those emotions and feel vulnerable, and I think that's my takeaway on dealing with death and loss is, like, there's nothing in any of our recovery literature that says you're supposed to feel this way if this happens, or you're supposed to do this if that happens, or feel this way if that happens. Allow yourself to feel whatever it is, whether you go through the stages of grief or not. However you're feeling is okay and appropriate, you know, and I think that's my big takeaway, and knowing that for me, the relationship I have with God is that I do believe that heaven is the greatest envisioning that each individual has of what heaven is, right? So, like, not to sound funny, but like to me, it's the world's greatest golf course and maybe a baseball field and a handful of other things that I love and find joy in my life. And that's what the out picturing of heaven is to me. And I think, you know, to each person, I believe that that's what it is for them, and they're with God Almighty and all their other loved ones, and there is no pain, there is no suffering. So that's all I got. Anybody want to go next? You want me to just
Hey,
kick it
Bill.
too? I got Corey on the next up on my Google Doc.
Well, that's not a
So
good idea. The longer we go without picking me, the less long pauses there will be.
you're up, Corey.
Oh,
Well,
really? You want me to?
Yeah.
All right. God,
I mean, whatever you're gonna say isn't gonna be that much different now and 5 minutes from now.
we don't
we
know
have to
that, but
we have to cross the bridge one way or the other.
yeah,
Yeah.
I guess we do. Well, well said, Sean, and God, man, as not that I do a lot of research or putting any effort into preparing for the podcast on a weekly basis, but when this topic was mentioned, I thought I don't know what the hell I'm going to say, and I still kind of really don't, because death is kind of weird, in my mind anyway, and I do have my beliefs, like honestly similar to what you said, Sean, minus the golf course thing, but I'd so want that for you though. If you go before me, Sean, I'm definitely gonna just intently believe that you're on a golf course. But
Thank you.
but I do like, yeah, first off, the idea of the afterlife, I do, it's just my personal belief, and it's very simple, and I don't know, it's been many years that I've been on a spiritual journey, and it hasn't gotten more detailed or complex or anything. It's just that I think we just go to be with God, and I think it's probably like I mean, like Sean said, like the best thing ever. It's got to, whatever that is, it's got to be perfection. Um, I don't know about like you said, Sean, like the golf course thing. I don't even know what my heaven would be in that scenario. Maybe just like endless Dave Matthews concerts.
I was gonna say, or like your
I've
favorite songs on repeat, probably,
I've been
or like you
been
probably playing guitar with Dave.
hell yeah. Anyway, yeah, I don't even want to start daydreaming about that, um, but let me. This is what I want to say. This is what's weird about death to me is like, and this probably sounds really dumb. I'm gonna say it anyway, but like the idea that it's going to happen to all of us, like not just to our loved ones, but literally to us. Like there's gonna be a time where like, if we kept this podcast rolling for 80 years, somebody's gonna drop off. You know what I mean? And no matter what, that's gonna happen. And I still do, like, despite believing in God, having a relationship with God, I still do have a fear about that kind of stuff, you know? So that's like one thing that's like one problem I have with death. Um, and like as far as like dealing with it, so to speak, as far as like loved ones, I don't know. Um, I know how I want to deal with it. How I want to deal with it is kind of like I said, I want to intently believe that that person is with the Father, the Creator. That person is in no pain, zero suffering, and nothing but like bliss and just perfection, perfectness, if that's a word. Um, like that's what I believe for loved ones that pass. And um, God, I'm trying to think, man. Like there's been plenty of deaths over the years, like Sean said, like as far as like ODs and stuff. Man, that stuff kind of like makes sense when it happens. Like it is still sad and everything, and the death that you were talking about, Sean, like that, I'm not much of a crier. That was definitely one where I was severely choking up telling my now wife about, because she was at work when I got the message. Um, but I lost my my stepdad that kind of raised me from ages 4 to 13. Who was still very like just a, I mean, he was, I can't say like my second dad. He was like a whole nother just role in my life is what I'm trying to say. Very important person to me is basically what I'm gonna get at. And Sean, like I remember telling you that, but it was like a month and a half after it happened. I just didn't want to talk about it. Like that's kind of, I don't know if that's like, didn't do that on purpose. I think I probably told a couple people maybe but like I didn't like go out of my way to really like mention it to anybody besides Gabby. And that one sucked, man. That one sucked, but he was older too. And like you said, Sean, like when it seems easier when, you know, you kind of see it like it becomes inevitable at some point. Like at some point, everybody has, less days ahead of them than behind them, right? Um, but that was a weird one. But yeah, I don't know. Like it, I guess because I just want to shut up because I don't want to talk anymore. But as far as like dealing with it, so to speak, it's just that, man. I gotta believe that there's something after this life. That can be a whole nother
Yeah.
rabbit hole for me. There's sometimes I get thinking about that stuff and I try not to think about it anymore because
Yeah.
like it gets weird I mean, like, why are we here or whatever. Dude, I'm in a philosophy class right now. Module 2 is all about the existence of God. And let me tell you, I didn't know I would suck at that. And I do, but um, you would think that'd be different, but I don't know. It's weird. I think it's like you said, it's gonna be different for everybody. I can tell you for recovery purposes on this podcast, there's not been a death that I felt the need to take a drink over or even have that even cross my mind. It
Good point.
probably isn't
Good point.
probably the furthest thing from my mind, like not even on the table. That speaks to the spiritual way of life that we live and our creator. So yeah, man. Uh God, I want to shut up. Thanks for letting me say all that shit.
Thank you, Corey. Greg, we'll go you next, and then Bill will have you wrap it up if that's cool.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, I like what you guys were saying, for sure. I hate the cliche sayings that we get thrown around a lot sometimes, but it was something I heard from a very early stage in recovery is that, you got to go out and buy a suit because you're going to attend a lot of weddings and a lot of funerals. And that's rang true. I've gotten to be a part of the 3 of your weddings, and attend those and see you guys on great moments and many others. And yeah, been to a fair share of funerals as well. So it is weird, man. None of us are getting out of here alive, right? Valhalla awaits us all, they say. But it is tough to deal with, right? So I remember like early on for me, I think I was like maybe 9 months sober and I had to come back home to Cleveland, because my grandmother was passing away. And it's funny, we were just talking about this the other night over dinner. But like, yeah, I was like the I know like people aren't supposed to say or whatever, but I guess my grandmother had no issue saying that like I was the number one, like I was the favorite. And like it was one of those things like you could tell like she treated the rest of the grandkids.
Sure, now she's not here to back that up, dude. God.
I mean, I
Yeah.
got there's other evidence, but yeah, she treated the other grandkids a little cold, shall we say, and she treated a lot of people cold. She was a very like straightforward, brass tacks, all business kind of woman, but for whatever reason, like I was like the apple of her eye, and we had a lot of fun times together. It was just we had a very different and very unique relationship, so yeah, when she was getting ready to pass, man, I came back up here and I've told that story before on the podcast, but that's when I started to after consulting with my mentor and it was like there's no time like the present, but got to go around and make amends to some people, and certainly to her and to some close family members and to a lot of people. And so there was so much freedom for me in that trip, but that was something that did solidify the idea of right then and there, for me, that not only does like God work and this whole recovery deal like works like that was for me everything up until that point. While it was very important and like I saw the three of you guys around me doing this whole deal or whatever, like that point where I was doing the work and I was putting in the things I was supposed to put into, and I actually saw the actual tangible results and saw that this whole thing was like, this is real, the power of God's real, but more importantly, that I can get through that kind of stuff without feeling the need, the impulse, the obsession to use and to drink had been removed from me, and then I've had to um deal with that subsequently over the years. My grandfather, my own father, um, and those were natural causes, or my father died of a heart attack, which was a little unexpected, but he didn't take very good care of himself, and you know, several other people. But as far as like, you know, it that was the first thing that sprung to mind was the gentleman that Sean was already talking about and Corey talked about as well. But he was a very good friend of a lot of us, right? A very close friend, and it was very surprising. I remember having some very candid conversations with that man in the months leading up to his death, and we talked on the phone. I had moved back home by that time. He had moved elsewhere, not in Florida. He'd moved elsewhere, and we would just have kind of weird talks. I could tell he was a little out there, but one thing, like when he would get candid with me and real with me, and he would talk about is like, I would just try to tell him like, look, the whole idea in your head, that you are like this big pillar of recovery and everything like that is all just in your head, right? It's ego, it's whatever. So when you go back out and drink and relapse and use and stuff like that, that's what we do, right? The guys like us without a solution in our lives will go back out every time, right? So you got to like do your best to remove that ego and just get back into surrounding yourself with people that really, if you're in that position and you're listening to this show, man, like that's the one thing, because this stuff isn't playing around. The another person I lost that was very, very near and dear to me is an ex-girlfriend of mine who, after we uh dated for many years in Florida, we were still very good friends, and she had just moved back home with her young daughter, you know, with her mom and stuff like that, and she only used a couple of times. It was a couple of times and boom, like that, because that's the nature of what's cut into a lot of these drugs nowadays and what's floating around out there. So, if you are struggling or, has some time under your belt and something happens, you relapse, you go back out, like I would highly, highly encourage you to surround yourself with good people. There's no problem in starting over. And it's, uh, might just save your life. So that's what I got. Thanks.
The two of you, Corey and Greg, I don't know if you guys remember this, but you both called me the same day years ago, because at first, this person we're talking about, you guys weren't super fond of. He could be a little off-putting, not because he was rude, he had his very unique personality, and you guys called me on the same day to tell me like, "Yo, I finally got to know him, dude. He's awesome." Like, something not necessarily those words, but I'll never forget that. It was a Sunday, I was at work, and you guys
Was
called me about
was
2
it
hours apart.
the same day? Really?
Same day,
Because
and I
you
don't
know
think
what?
either of you knew that you would call like, you guys
Well,
weren't like,
you know
you
why
know.
it was is we would always go over to his house and we'd
Yeah,
always have our girlfriends with us, and he
yeah.
remembered who our girlfriends were every
Oh, I
time, but he didn't
remember. I
remember
know.
us. That was the thing.
I know. Corey tells that story all the time. Like, he introduced himself to Corey like 6 different times, but then, like, the one time he was like, "Oh, hey, Gabby," like, just I'll never
Yeah.
forget that,
I
and
might bitch
But
about that in a prayer tonight.
that's hey, but that
that's
you know what?
fine.
That's an important lesson to learn is like you don't judge a book by its cover, man, because that
Right,
dude would like
right.
have given you not just the shirt off his own back, but probably every shirt in his closet if it meant you needed it, you know. So
Exactly.
I didn't like Sean either, so
Well, that's fine. I didn't like you either.
yeah, you still don't. It's fine.
Bill, the
I
time
don't
is
like
yours,
any of you
sir.
guys.
Please take us home, Bill.
Yeah. You guys all said great stuff. Thanks for opening up. I really appreciate it. And I don't know. My story on this is I always dealt with loss. Like my dad died at 9 months, my stepdad at 3 years old, lost my grandpap at 16, 18. My point in saying all that, 18 for my grandma, but my point in saying all that is like I always felt like when Sean met me, I was a staunch atheist, and I always felt like just kind of like how I felt about addiction always had a one up on me. Death did as well, and I was very resentful towards that. It was all very dark. It was very negative. Um, you know, I had many people I lost, many people next door, with their kids and their kids finding them and me getting blamed for stuff and this and that. Just a lot of dark death stories in my life, just kind of like you guys. And I would just say like the difference between dealing with that sober and not sober to me are like, man, thank God, because today when I've dealt with death, I truly believe today that, number one, I have faith in a higher power, but I believe that this part is the hard part. Like this is the journey. Like how you were just speaking about even Brian's flaws. I mean, that's what made him beautiful. You know what I mean? Or certain gentlemen's flaws. That's what makes it beautiful. Like, but this is the hard part. We're all flawed here in this journey, and this journey is not easy. Keeping up with, um, your health, and especially for a recovered person, it's all grace. And let's just take it in perspective. If the average life expectancy is 76 years old, I'm getting close to 40. I mean, that's 36 years remaining. Okay. That of that 36 years, you will spend 13 years sleeping. You will spend 25 more years working 40 hours a week, which averages around 6 years at least of work that you will do. So there's 19 years right there, right? So my point in saying that is like, let's look at life today. I know you guys, after I'm done making dinner or whatever and the work week and all that, I'm exhausted. You know what I mean? And I think my whole point in saying that is like, you got to savor the time you have. And a real message to me lately is like finding that passion in your life and that balance to enjoy all this. Because if I'm not enjoying it, you know, this is the only shot we have at this. You know what I mean? I don't want to be dead and going, what if I did this or what if I did that? What if this was different? I want to have the energy to do those things. And when you look at it and think of it that way, I mean, at this age, I should be having a midlife crisis because this is midlife. You know what I mean? And a real big mantra of mine today is if it doesn't make me peaceful, I don't want it around me. And I've had to say that. I've had to cut people out of my life, but that's just the way it is. And dealing with death today, um, all my journeys, I love what you guys said, but all my journeys in death, I've tried to put my attention on the family around the person, like that are closer than me. Luckily, I haven't had that situation where it was like indirect, like boom, boom, right on top of my lap. But I tell this to guys I'm working with and trying to help and all that. Like you're going up to a funeral, try to bring some flowers for the mom. Bring try to see how the aunt's doing on the side, or the uncle, and put your arm around somebody and try to love on them. Try to be the glue in between for the people that are suffering. Because before it was always all about me. Oh, people don't understand how bad I'm hurting. People don't people should give me $20 so I can go get high because my mom died or whatever. I was at my mom's casket when she died telling myself, you should be crying right now. And I couldn't even muster up the tears. I almost wanted, part of me wanted to do it for theatrics because I couldn't feel real emotions at that time, to maybe get these people in the back feel bad for me and give me some money or something. That's literally the insanity in my head. And part of me was pissed off that all these people from this recovery group were there in support of her. You know what I mean? So my perspective today is to be those people that are there for the people there. And when I was saying this too, and I see this and putting it in perspective, is like, how well do you value your health? And I see a lot of, all you guys working on your health, going to the gym, things like that. Because what I was talking about, and we're done with the work stuff and the sleeping and factoring all that in, you get to retired, and what if your body's shit? You know what I mean? Like, are you valuing your body to be that person? So I know it's a little off topic, but it kind of relates, because I try to value myself to extend my life in the healthiest fashion that I can for my family, for my friends, and to enjoy it most importantly. I've also had things, with loss happen in front of me that are traumatic, very traumatic in sobriety. And it sucks when you can't put a substance in yourself, because I used to love to run to oblivion, like, oh, block it out, block it out. That was very successful, let me tell you guys, sarcastically. But when you can't do that and you have to sit in it, it really hurts. And I work with Sean and stuff. I try to clean out the inner soul. I try to work with things. And then I went and saw therapists, and I did trauma healing in the church and all that stuff, because, we have to use every avenue we can. But my big takeaway in what I've learned is, if you switch your perspective like you have other things and focus on helping those other people dealing with loss, it makes it a lot easier for you to deal with it. And today I am not vengeful when someone dies. Like Sean said, he was sat next to the person and cried. Well, why do we cry? Because there's some sort of fear wrapped in that. You know what I mean? Because if I'm crying in sorrow, then maybe I'm not thinking that they are going to the best afterlife life possible. You get me? So, like, I try to stay focused on that heaven picture that Sean was saying. Like, man, this is the hard part. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that is all cohesive, but that's my thoughts on it, and I'm trying to evolve them and learn from you guys as well. So
No, Bill, that was very cohesive, and I think it all
Yeah.
applies. Like, it does make you realize, like, maximize the time we have with loved ones, and we have to work and make a living, and there's certain things we have to do, but we can even bring joy to that, even though it may not always be the most joyful and sometimes stressful. But I think it does, help us appreciate and, make the best of the other times, whether it's, just hanging out with the kids, or going on vacation, or just whatever it is, laughing with you guys on this podcast, and just
jumping out
in
of a plane.
jumping out of a plane, dude. And just in closing, I got remember when I got hospitalized from COVID and then double pneumonia in September 2021. I would have told you before that, and I have told people that, like, I didn't say it in this way, but I'm gonna say this sarcastically so you get the point. Like, I would tell people, like, "Oh, I'm at peace with death. Like, if I die, it's just my time to go, and I'm sober now, and I've made my amends, and all that stuff, and, like, it's okay, if God wants me to go home, I'll come home." And I realized when I got hospitalized for those 9 days and I was on those breathing tubes and I couldn't see my wife and my children, and I was scared and I didn't know what
Mhm.
was going on. I am not okay. I'm okay with somebody else dying. Somebody else's mortality, it's just God's plan and all. Oh my goodness. I am not okay with my own mortality. I was not. And I think that helped me get a little more okay with it, but I know I was scared.
He
I was
did
very
seem
scared.
okay with it, guys, because I called him like I was pissed, dude. He wouldn't go to the hospital. He sounded like he was like 95 years old on the phone, like
Yeah.
couldn't even catch it. I'm like, dude, go to the hospital,
Yeah.
please.
He didn't
You know
text
what
me
I mean?
back.
I waited way too long. I waited way too long, but I realized that like I'm not as spiritually fit in that regard as I was. And that's okay. That was an okay
Yeah.
thing to learn. And also to realize like there's more work to be done. Like God obviously has more work to be done. I think for us in recovery, and I forget what I think Greg said it, maybe it was Corey, but like we go through these things and we don't have to drink over them.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all that some people can just manage in that moment. You know, we're all chasing not just physical sobriety, but emotional sobriety. And I think that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And thank God we have good people around us to lean on and a God of our understanding. So,
Hey.
Anybody else in closing?
Yeah, parting thought real quick. Bill, you said something that I wanted to especially highlight, like how you spotlight the family, when like
Yeah, that was
the
good.
immediate dude, we as the recovery community have to was that.
Yeah.
The gentleman that we mentioned a few times tonight, and I'm not
Sorry.
damn it.
Sorry.
He was on a roll. Go ahead.
The gentleman that we mentioned a few times tonight, I'm not gonna get on my soapbox about it and really hash out my feelings about it. Although you can already tell they were kind of negative. Like we as the recovery family were hurt. We were reeling and like
What about the real
that's
family?
great. But like we had a memorial like get together plan, and I mean when I say we, I mean they had a memorial get together planned before the family. I think that's bullshit. And now I don't know the specifics. Maybe they got permission or their blessing. I don't know. But if not, that sucks. And then, so like, I think it's important as the recovery family to realize that there's a family, and that they are possibly hurting more, maybe less, but it's possible more. And then the last thing I want to say that I thought about before that, also as the recovery family community, let's not jump to posting on Facebook that so and so died of a heroin overdose.
Yeah,
Let's not do that.
it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
That's
Show
a
some
bad taste,
restraint,
and
people.
especially, and it's not your
Show some truth, as Greg would
your
say.
blood either. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
that's wrong.
It happens far too often. So
You lost a friend, but like somebody lost a son,
Right.
or a brother, or a sister,
or a parent, or a
whatever.
daughter.
You know what I mean?
And oftentimes that family went through the worst. Like we got to see our friend happy and sober for a lot of years. I remember him when he wasn't sober, but point being, the family remembers way more years of the bad. You know what I
Right.
mean? So good point, guys. That's good. Hey, Corey, good for you. Good.
I'm better on the back end,
2
guys.
points, dude. That's good stuff.
Cammy goes
The
second.
hour and 11th minute is always
Yeah.
you, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Greg, you good? You got anything?
I just want to say that if I'm dead, the rest of you have been dead for weeks.
And Greg, I just want to say, Greg, that you inspire me how you deal with being a Browns fan and the loss thing. So that's
Yeah.
very inspirational.
Suck it,
Thank you.
DeLuca.
And on that note, shout out to our listeners. Please like, follow, and share on all socials at Trudge Report Pod. Email us, trudgereportpod@yahoo.com. Send in your mailbag requests for topics, questions, and comments to any of these handles. Remember, we're all here if anyone wants to talk about recovery, our experience, or if you are struggling with some form of addiction. Again, quick reminder, this episode will air on Thursday, September 12th. And then going forward, episodes will be released on your listening platforms every Thursday for a while, with the video portion coming pretty much the
Eventually.
following day. Corey's been very good about that. Thank you, Corey.
Well, I got a reminder the other day. That's why.
That's all right.
Fine.
Thank you to all our listeners, and especially Miss Janine and Stella Mix Podcast Management. Good night. God bless. We will see you next time. May you trudge the road of happy destiny. Amen.